Hello, Asher.
Hello.
People can't see you, but you got a cat on your lap.
I do.
Well, before I think we talk, we should tell some why we've been gone for 2 months.
Shit's been crazy, yo.
Yeah, life. So I don't think at any point in time we quit, right? No. So just life. That's the whole sum of it.
Yeah. I mean, it could get more complicated in explanation. We could explain more if we needed to, but there really is not relevant to this work anyway. So
Life. Yeah. Okay. Let's try to get us a little closer. We're both probably having bad hair days. Okay, so the last time we were here, we were talking with Jed Jolene in the chapter, if you are paying attention, the willing suspension of disbelief, which if you are using this book, was page 103 to 110. And now we're going to try to start with the harmony of the spheres.
I don't know if they can read that.
I don't know either.
Maybe reversed. No, that wouldn't
It's a
make
good
sense.
question. Is it?
How it would work.
It is
It's
reversed.
just reversed when we're seeing it though.
But it's not reversed.
I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Talk about things that don't matter, right? Okay. The harmony of the spheres. This journey then is nothing more, yet nothing less than a period of acclimating to a new way of seeing, a time of transition and revelation as it gradually comes upon that which remains when there is no self. This is not a journey for those who expect love and bliss. Rather, it is for the hardy who have been tried by fire and have come to rest in a tough, immovable trust in that which lies beyond the known, beyond the self, beyond union, and beyond even love and trust itself. Bernadette Roberts. I do want to take a second to say, I think there's a couple quotes by Bernadette Roberts. So she's a contemplative nun, Catholic nun, and I bought all of her books and read them. I mean, one thing I just got to say, very difficult reading. Like she's very dry and very difficult to read. I did not.
Did you actually read the whole books?
No, I never finished. So I just lied. I couldn't finish. I started each one and she was so steeped in Catholicism that there's no, like she has a quote somewhere, doesn't she? There's like, it's not for nothing that Catholicism has the sign of the cross, because everyone will be crucified when their self is destroyed. And she describes her journey. And I think she was enlightened just in that sense, just like Jed. But even now reading this, like there's an annihilation that they go through.
Yeah.
That I just don't have any clue. Like I'm not even 1% there.
No.
Like, yeah, it's just this utter annihilation. She's still a nun and takes care of people. And I mean, like she still believes in Catholicism to a degree, I guess. Like the Christ on the cross and I don't know. It was very difficult.
Weird to me.
I'd recommend, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
I would recommend you read them except I don't because, well, they're not fun. They're very deep. They're difficult. They're boring.
Doesn't sound interesting.
Yeah.
Unless I need something,
Yeah, it was like 10 years ago. Yeah. I do feel somewhat guilty as a scholar for never finishing. So I apologize. Hey, Sirius. Oh my God. We haven't seen you for 2 months.
Nice.
Good to see you, man. Sorry that we've been gone. Okay. Ready? After showering, I get dressed and consider going downstairs to grab a few books. I have enlightenment versus mysticism on the brain now, but walking downstairs, finding a book, and bringing it back upstairs isn't as easy as it sounds. Everyone is down there now, cooking, eating, socializing, and the atmosphere is fairly relaxed. If I go down, the whole dynamic changes. Everything stops and everyone shifts into a more formal mode, and then I'm the center of attention, and everyone looks at me expectantly, which is too much fuss just for a book.
That sounds uncomfortable. Just that living arrangement. It sounds like what I experienced with Francis.
Yeah.
Like being like, oh, I just need to go down into my living room and grab a book and come back. But I can't do that because then there's too much, well, for me, it's because I'm going to get told to do something or whatever. But like, I don't know how he managed to actually live in this house under those circumstances, honestly.
So I do not want to diverge here a little, but I'm going to. So these books, he says, take place somewhere in Iowa.
That's what he says. Yeah.
Right? In Iowa City. So I have a person I know who, she's really cool. She's a spiritual person. I'm not going to name her name right now. But she was talking to me about how 30 years ago, she had a gift from these people in Iowa when she did workshops there. And I said, oh, you used to do workshops, teach spiritual workshops in Iowa. And I went, and she goes, oh yeah, Iowa is our number one place. Iowa City was the center of everything spiritual 30 years ago. And I was just looking at her going, what are you talking about? She's all like, oh yeah, Iowa City. We used to spot there for years and all this. And I was all going, I don't know. I always kind of assumed, Jed, there's, in context, there's no one's found the house that Jed says exists. No one's talked about the ashram. There's no proof. I mean, Jed could have made the whole fucking thing up. Maybe it was in North Carolina and he moved it to Iowa to be funny. Anyways, just an interesting side story is I met someone who said that Iowa City and Iowa was absolutely the center of spiritual growth. That the guy who the Beatles tuned into was all centered in there. So I'm going to do some research, and I know I sound like an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about right now.
It sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, so I'll do some research.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of theories online where people say that it's just, I don't know, that it's not even a singular author or something, but I disagree with that. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's lots of conspiracy theories.
To me, it's obviously one guy. I mean, I've read all of his books. It's the same voice all the way through.
Yeah, that's not. I agree with that.
Okay, so he has a hard time here. We have a huge spiritual library, several actually. The main one is in the living room, but there are a half a dozen others spread throughout the house. Together, they probably hold every spiritual and New Age title from the last 100 years, as well as countless versions, translations, and transliterations of all the ancient stuff. Almost always, when people come out for a visit or a stay, they feel they have to bring something. Even if they're just coming to hang out or do some work, they often feel that they can't come empty-handed, so they bring gifts. The gifts are actually an important part of the whole deal, as is the work they do here. I wanted to say that Asher and I and the family, we built a sanctuary here up in Utah called the studio, the Lion's Den. And there's an antechamber to the room, to the temple room, or to the spiritual room, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And for a while we called it the library. And it was always my intention that people bring books and that the library grow. So we never did do it.
Well,
but
we had to finish the room and get those shelves out.
But for me, I love this idea. This is an appealing idea that there's a gathering of books that everyone who comes contributes to.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Okay. The gifts, now here's a different concept though. The gifts are actually an important part of the whole deal. A student cannot approach a teacher like a beggar, hat in hand, only taking. There has to be an energetic exchange. It doesn't matter that I might not ever see the gift they brought, only that they brought it. It doesn't matter that I don't know the work they do, only that they do it. If you think of approaching a Tibetan Lama for his teachings, you would naturally begin by offering him a silk scarf. Not a great one, not an expensive one, not one that's going to make him do cartwheels, just a scarf, one of the thousands he'll receive in his wise man career. I think that's pretty interesting. I'm fascinated by that.
I am too, because it's for him to mention that and talk about the importance of an energetic exchange. But then why is it important? Because he mentions that it's important, but he also mentions that he doesn't keep track of it.
Well, it's important
So
for him, right?
how is
It's
it
not to
important?
him.
Yeah. Is that what he means? It's important for the student to have paid, but he's not even saying that they tell them they have to. It's just people feel like they have to. You see what I'm saying? So like,
I think this is interesting.
so what the fuck is the point of it then? Why even talk about it? Is it important? Is it actually important?
He is saying it's important. If you think, he says there has to be an energetic exchange. It doesn't matter that I may not see the gift they brought, only that they brought it. It doesn't matter that I don't know the work they do, only that they do it. There has to be an energetic exchange. I like that your mind is so cynical that you're questioning it. I think that's cool. Like you're not accepting Jed at face value. What if you came to a teacher
this whole fucking thing?
I know. So I think that's great. I would love to hear from people who are out there about this concept. I mean, because it's common stereotypically, right?
It's important. I buy into that deeply, but I just also want to know, like, why is he mentioning that? Like, what is it? What importance does it have? And does he actually? Sorry, I'm a little grumpy. Apparently, today's the first day of me quitting nicotine. So,
yeah, can you believe we're gonna bless you guys with his grumpy ass on that day?
So
I think that is blessing, because if we do it a week from now, he's probably gonna be more of a bear. You'll go through, it'll get worse and then it'll get better, I guess, right?
I don't know.
Okay, here he goes. He's going to continue. The giver is always the true recipient. It's one of those universal laws that keeps everything balanced.
Okay. Yeah, see, I just couldn't.
See, but this is him going into, if you ask me, this is him going into non-enlightenment theory for a second, right?
Yeah, well,
this is more integrated state, how the world works.
At some point, I'm going to have to go back through this book and specifically separate out that material. Like, it's the difference between, like, okay, what's the Enlightenment material and what is the material that's relevant to the most of the fucking population on the planet, Jed? Okay.
He is grumpy, isn't he?
Then taking that information and, collect it, have it fucking available to reference and pay attention to, and at least have it differentiated between the stuff that is completely and totally not useful.
By the way, I'm now reading Sirius's comment. It says it's not reversed for us. And when I first read that, I thought he was just making shit up, and I don't know what he was talking about. And now I get it. Sirius, thank you for telling us. Right now, there's a specific passage I'm looking for, and I think I can find it in one of the upstairs book collections. I'm a fan of transpersonal psychology in general, and Dr. Stanislav Grof in particular.
So you used to tell me about that person a little bit.
Okay, so you'll meet Stanislav Grof again in the third book, in the bonus material at the end. So basically, Jed, in a very gentle way, right, talks about LSD and how Frank was a true believer in free and easy access to God by everyone on the world through LSD.
Well, it's the idea of like a major religion co-opting, taking God and saying, you have to be with us to have God.
Yeah.
And he was a believer in the concept of like, no, if you're a human, you can have God easy, free and easy access.
Yeah, free and easy access. So let me sum this up. Basically, Jed is saying that at the age of 10, him and Frank, so you'll meet those characters later, but him and this older guy had this general belief that society had advanced to the certain point where it did no need for religion, no need for bullshit, that everyone could grow up and know the oneness of the integrated state, that somewhere around 10 or 12, everyone would be given a ritual. Here's your tab of LSD. You get to see God and you're done. You don't have to play stupid anymore. And the society would just advance. And he's gentle about it because I can tell he really doesn't want to come out and sound pro-drug. Like he's very concerned which is weird for Jed, but he's just gentle about coming out and being pro-drug. But he gently says it. And then he said, of course, and then he laments that the government, of course, shut that down. I mean, LSD is a Schedule I drug. It's literally considered zero benefit to the world. I mean, just like marijuana is, which is, of course, being battled now, and a lot of drugs. And the government went really against it.
Yeah.
And he laments that the great uprising of the 60s of Ken Kesey, was defeated.
Well, he sees
and
that
utterly
as,
defeated.
yeah, he saw it as like America dying. What is who is Stanislav?
So let me tell you about Stanislav Grof. When I had connected to Stanislav Grof before, because
you had told me about it.
So he was the doctor. There's a cool thing about him who was doing the LSD research.
Okay.
And so he was getting grants from the government, and he did it, and he's got books on it. Just like, this is what it is. This is how it works. If you do it in the tested setting, we'll get you to see God. You'll grow up. You'll be less afraid. Life will be better for you. And when I was reading about this, I had a friend who mentioned it to me, right? Because I don't know anything about LSD, right? I was remembering one of my bosses when I was a kid. I was 16 years old, right? And one of my bosses at a place I was washing dishes. I was in a restaurant. And I was washing dishes. And he was like, "Hey kid, come here." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "You got to try LSD." I was like terrified, like no fucking way. Like I was a very, very conservative kid, right? And it was terrifying to me. And he's all like, "It'll change your mind. It'll expand your world. Everyone in the world should do LSD at least once." As he's telling me that, and I was like, I remember that conversation. I was just 16, like just this one crazy conversation with this crazy boss, right? And then so I'm reading about Stanislav Grof, and this guy, he's kind of saying the same thing, that it wasn't just a party drug, is what I thought, but that it was a spiritual drug. Now, here's the cool thing about Stanislav Grof. So they came in, the government shut them all down, said, "Fuck it, you're dead. You can't do this anymore." And he said, "Wait a minute. The states that we were getting through that were so important to society, there's got to be another way." And he discovered it. And it's called holotropic breathing.
Okay. So he's the guy who did the holotropic.
Yeah. And he did studies through the world and cultures. And basically, if you hyperventilate yourself long enough with a witness, you basically, if you do that for an hour, things will happen. And like your brain will happen and it'll start to see visions, and you can duplicate LSD's. And I think the sum total of it, though I don't know, I don't have any experience, the sum total of it is something like oneness. Like a oneness. Like a sense that we're all one.
Do you mean from acid or from this holotropic?
Both
breath?
of them. The same exact thing.
Well, having done the holotropic breath, or a short version, I think like the version you're talking about wasn't something like 3 or 6 hours of breathing or some wild.
How long did you do it?
I don't know, when we've done the workshops, and remember Chris yelling, "Breathe!"
Breathe. Yeah, he teaches the holotropic breath. But I wasn't in it. I was holding space outside. I can't remember how long it was.
Fucking crazy. Your body reacts like you're doing something other than just breathing. Yeah, I mean, you're the whole lobster claw thing sometimes, or you can like, I don't understand what that is for, like your muscles will clench, but like, I guess I just remember it being intensely. It was like it was like there was suddenly a waterfall coming down on my head, and like constant, the pressure of like water coming, a large amount of water like coming down, hitting your head and falling. Like I felt like that.
I don't know. Did you have any kind of oneness feel? Is that relevant to say? No. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. There might be more data concerning like the states of consciousness that can be generated through breath, and like what?
There's
I don't know everything about it.
There's all sorts of stuff, and I should study it more.
And I did like 30 minutes of continual breathing.
Yeah.
There's like different methods.
Okay.
Okay.
I sort through my collection of books by Groff, and it doesn't take me long to find the part describing the mystical experience that I've been thinking about. It is an ecstatic state characterized by the loss of boundaries between the subject and the objective world, with ensuing feelings of unity with other people, nature,
I don't fucking remember this.
the entire universe, and
He's
God.
describing acid, but I don't remember this.
From the book?
Yeah. Will you just go back, like at the start of this paragraph or something?
Sure. I sort through my collection.
No, before that even. Why is he talking about Stanislav Grof?
Because he says he's got mystical union versus enlightenment on his mind.
Okay.
I am very sorry. I'm going to turn this the fuck off. Yeah, so I'm guessing. Okay.
I mean,
I'm not guessing.
Describing there is he's talking about
Mystical union.
Yeah.
Holotropic breath. LSD. Prayer circles. Mystical union. And he's saying it's different. He's very clearly going to teach us something here that it's not enlightenment.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So this is useful to you, right? You don't want the enlightenment stuff. You should study Groff, LSD, holotropic breath, because that's what you want. You want mystical union-ish, or to understand it more.
Just to understand it.
Yeah, okay. Oh, fuck, okay, so you won't. It is an ecstatic state characterized by the loss of boundaries between the subject and the objective world, with ensuing feelings of unity with other people, nature, and the entire universe and God. In most instances, this experience is contentless and is accompanied by visions of brilliant white or golden light, rainbow spectra, or elaborate designs resembling peacock feathers. It can, however, be associated with archetypal figurative visions of deities or divine personages from various cultural frameworks. LSD subjects give various descriptions of this condition based on their educational background and intellectual orientation. They speak about cosmic unity, unio mystica, mysterium tremendum, cosmic consciousness, union with God, Atman Brahman union, samadhi, satori, moksha, or the harmony of the spheres. And just because we're all having fun, that's the name of the chapter, the harmony of the spheres.
There's wait, did you read all the Hyperion books?
Mm-hmm.
All 4 of them? The whole thing?
Yeah.
That's part of it. Remember the music of the spheres?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Does that tell you, what's his name? David?
Dan Simmons?
Dan Simmons. So Dan Simmons was obviously a partaker of whatever LSD is.
Yeah, he must have been, because a lot of the, I mean, I don't know. There's spiritual Gnostic shit in Hyperion, in all of that.
Yeah, there's just to throw out some LSD references for fun. I think, Steve Jobs said that he used
Steve
it.
Jobs? Do you say Jobs?
It's not Jobs. Okay, Steve Jobs used LSD. Fuck you.
Yeah, he did. He mentions that somebody has said, I have heard that he mentioned, like in a book or something, that it was very important to him or something.
Yeah, it's always weird when the big guys come out, right?
Well, yeah, but
Like, do you remember when Bill Clinton? You weren't around when he was young, and he said he admitted that in college he had taken a marijuana, and he goes,
marijuana,
smoked weed or whatever the fuck. I don't know. And I remember he got a lot of shit because he goes, yeah, I tried it, I just didn't inhale, and everyone's all like,
damn, you didn't try it.
I know. It's like, it's kind of a bullshit line, right? I tried weed, but I just didn't inhale.
It doesn't make any sense.
He was trying to soften the blow that a president of the United States had gotten high.
Well, I understand it.
All
It
right.
just doesn't make any goddamn sense. Someone should
Back
say,
in the 90s.
then you didn't smoke weed.
Well, yeah. Back in the 90s, right? When he was coming up, that was a thing. You had to be careful.
It just
I was
surprises
92.
me that everyone was so collectively stupid about weed that someone could say that and we'd all be like, yeah, that's okay.
Well, they didn't. He got a lot of shit for it. And then I remember reading Obama's book,
Just smoke weed.
right? Obama's going, yeah, I'm not really happy with drugs, but when I was in college, I tried a little blow. I thought I tried a little blow.
That's funny.
I was just the colloquial way he called it. And then his daughter just got caught a couple years ago.
I heard a whole thing where Obama, went to high school or college or something. I think it was in Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
and smoked it. Was part of a group of people that were known around town as massive fucking stoners.
But
That's what I heard.
So and his daughter was caught using it. He's totally done it. So let me ask you a question. Let's go to conspiracy theory. When he had a chance to unschedule one, why didn't he?
Money.
Had to do with money. Because you can tell that cat does not believe.
No, I guess it had to do with money. It's weird. He must have some.
I heard that it's the CIA makes so much money busting those drug lords that there's so much money going through it. The only reason they're allowing it to come off now is because they think they can tax it and make the money back that way. Can you imagine if the drug war, then Jed and Frank from the third book are truly real, that we just lost? If the whole drug war was complete money that was bullshit.
Yeah. It is bullshit though.
Well, with weed at least, right? I mean, it's turning out to be. When you were a kid, they said if you smoked weed, your head would turn to mush and you rape someone. I mean, it was violent crime.
I just remember being told of instances, or being told that there was examples of people who had smoked marijuana and died the first time they had tried it. That sort of shit.
Yeah.
The teachers were telling us.
Right.
Meanwhile,
I don't think you can overdose on it.
it's actually impossible to die specifically just from THC.
I read a book
the amount you physically couldn't do it.
Yeah, I read a book on some of the big. I think I mentioned it before. If you want to read a good book on the drug culture, "Chasing the Scream" by Johan, I don't know, Harry. Anyways, but he mentioned in that weed and mushrooms, you can't kill yourself on.
Mm-hmm.
You can't overdose. I mean, you can have a crazy trip.
Yeah, I mean, you can have an overwhelmed experience. That's not what we're saying. You can't physically. Your physical being is not going to fail because you took too much of this.
Yeah. I take the book to my big comfy chair in the TV room, turn on the lamp, and continue reading. I have no personal interest in the distinction between enlightenment and mysticism. I know exactly what one is and have more than an adequate personal acquaintance with the other. A more than adequate
personal relationship.
I think
the other.
He may be older than we think, and that he was marked back in the 60s, 70s is when this was, and it looked like it was forward. I think the ashram time was back earlier.
Oh, you think
I think he was from the 60s or the 70s. I think he's 65 or 70 now, I bet.
Yeah, because 20 years would be down to 2000. So he'd have to be born in this, start of the 60s. End of, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think he was probably born in 55, right?
Something like that.
Anyways, I think when he says a more than adequate personal acquaintance, I think he's taken LSD. I think that's his way of saying.
Well, definitely, he mentions. I don't know if it's this book, but he mentions at some point. He references being stoned as a college student or something.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I didn't either until.
Have you read it? The problem, a common one for me, is how to express it. If I didn't have to teach it, I wouldn't spend any time or effort learning it. I did my time. I spent thousands of hours pouring through every spiritual, New Age, metaphysical, and esoteric book you could name, and quite a few books on religion and Western philosophy too, using the knowledge in books to fuel an unquenchable internal blaze. I obsessed on this stuff when it was critical to my journey, but now that's behind me, and my lingering interest in this subject stems from the fact that I'm challenged with communicating it. It's also, I should mention, a personal pleasure. I enjoy visiting with a mind that can express these squirrely contradictions succinctly, all the more so for the rarity of it. The samadhi that Groff describes is, of course, the most beautiful and profound experience a human being can hope to have, but it is only a peripheral interest within the context of spiritual awakening. The reason I wish I could get a better handle on these two subjects is, as I've already stated, to be better able to correct the tendency of those on the spiritual path to be chasing the one and calling it the other. Everybody wants the radiance and the bliss and the union with the divine, and everybody seems to believe that spiritual enlightenment is the name for which, when you have dipped yourself into the divine so many times that it has permanently altered your spiritual hue. A 1975 New York Times Magazine article entitled 1975.
A long time ago.
That's a long time ago for a book that came out in 2010.
This book didn't come out in 2010. It came out in 90, right? Right?
Well, the new version was updated. Yeah, what's the first version? Look that up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That old version with a different cover? Yeah. A 1975. See how dated this is? New York Times Magazine article entitled, "Are We a Nation of Mystics?" refers to a study of Americans in which 40% of respondents reported having had experienced at some time in their lives feelings of being very close to a powerful spiritual force that seemed to lift them out of themselves. The article's conclusion is that such intense, overwhelming, indescribable experiences are widespread, almost commonplace in American society today. This is certainly in line with my own views on the matter. If anything, I'm surprised that the percentage is so low. But even if only 40% of Americans can claim to have had a mystical experience, how abiding can we really claim the transformative effects to be? Either we are most decidedly not a nation of mystics, or the transformation ascribed to a divine encounter and our ego transcendence renders one a mystic of only the most minor and inconsequential degree, especially as the influence of the experience fades with time. It's very interesting to me. Fades with time.
It was originally published in 2002. The first book.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I thought he was. That's later than I thought it was originally published. For one thing. Yeah.
My opinion is that the experience of unity is like the most uplifting piece of music one can ever hope to hear. It raises the bar and makes other music sound tinny and discordant by comparison, but eventually the memory fades and regular music resumes its previous place in one's heart. More to the point, in my view, the mystical experience is something to have, not something to have had. The memory of it begins receding the moment that it's over, and it quickly takes on the remote quality of a dream. One may remember that one has had a mystical experience, but that memory bears little or no resemblance to the experience itself. I don't mean to diminish the transformative impact of the mystical event. There can be no doubt that if all one knows of fire is the dance of light and shadow on a wall, then the direct perception of a roaring blaze will radically transform one's view of reality and one's place in it. Enough. I'm tired of thinking about it. Words are lousy means of communication. Brains are no place for serious thinking, and indescribable experiences are silly things to try to describe. I close my eyes and release all the events of the day using a cleansing breath until I feel free of all the petty challenges and frustrations that come with the teacher thing. When I open my eyes, I find Sanaya sitting in the other comfy chair. She is smiling. Bad sign. You have an appointment tomorrow, she informs me. Now she's my booking secretary. You have to be in Iowa City tomorrow at the boathouse on the river at 11 o'clock to meet my KGB contact, Julie Myers, who will be interviewing you. Interviewing me for her New Age magazine. Interview? What interview? Since when do I do interviews? Since when does anyone want to interview me? Why? The Sanaya is already gone.
I'm glad we're doing this again.
Any final thoughts?
I don't know. It's so interesting. I feel like I feel inspired to like. There's a part of me that just wants to dive into the conspiracy theories of this, and like try to find. But ultimately, we should try to remember, looking at when it was published and trying to trying to go on mentally meta is fun. But the truth is that I guess, we've never known anything more than we know right now about him, and it's never mattered.
Yeah, I mean, look.
So what's important is the content in the book and what he's talking about, and I guess everything else doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so let's speak to that. Let me ask you about that. I mean, this harmony of the spheres, he's talking about mystical union, and he's setting up in a very, very entertaining way that is different, that it's not enlightenment. And I mean, that's been his theory, and so he's holding it up. And if you or I or anyone listening or reading his books has an experience with mystical union through prayer or meditation or sacred dance or even LSD or holotropic breath or whatever, that he's saying that's beautiful, but that's not. Don't be led astray. That's not enlightenment.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is how I would describe it. So there's the infinity of consciousness, and it's reducing itself down into the world of duality here with me and you, right? So we're coming down unto us, right? It's possible for me and you to expand within the sphere of the universe, the duality. So I can feel one with that tree, which is in duality. I can feel one with you. I can feel one with my cat. I can feel one with the universe. And I expand within the universe. I can feel like I'm the sun. I can feel like I'm the stars. I could, to expand, right? I think this is my understanding now as I'm creating it. That's mystical union, is to fill the dream full, to be, like you and I could feel one, mystically one as he described it, right? However, enlightenment is not in the dream. It's not in the universe. It's when you come out completely. So there's no fullness. It's just.
No, yeah, it's like the landscape or lack of landscape of an enlightened person compared to someone who isn't, or would be like horrifying. They're not a person. They're not actually real. Like
if I expanded and felt one with you, I feel one with you. Did you remember when Neil woke up in the goo pod? Think of it differently. Like if he woke up and he sat back and he could still see himself sitting and getting up and doing his job.
Yeah.
You go, Neil, what is Neil doing? And he goes to the bathroom in the morning, he goes to work, and you're like, and you watched him and you maybe reached through and touched him and he wobbled and you went, holy shit, he's just a hologram. He's not real. I thought I was that thing.
Yeah.
I think that's enlightenment, of which I have zero experience. That's not quite true. I did have the one experience where I backed out of it. I did have a non-abiding, non-dual awareness where I saw everything and I was out. I got out. I told you that. It was not loving. It was not feeling good. I would walk around the road. I've told that story on this video, and I experienced it. I mean, I came back going, how do I pretend to be Jason? How do I pretend to be him and have him talk to Asher? Which, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but at that time it was like pretending this bottle was someone I cared about. Like, how do I pull that off?
Right.
Well, I didn't have to pull it off because I came back. And now I believe in myself again, and I believe in you as a separate person, right? So I think that's what mystical union is. Mystical union is feeling outside yourself within the dream, within the dream. And it's a beautiful feeling that we're all part of the ocean of life. And it feels good to be not just adjacent, but bigger. And it does kill a little bit of ego, right? Because I'm part of the sky and the eye, right? But it's not leaving the dream and poking the little holographic figure that's Jason and watching him get up. Like right now, if I could just wrench myself out and sit above and watch us talk and go, oh shit, we're just dreams. We're just like figments. I hope that's useful to anyone.
No,
right? That's some good thoughts. Yeah.
Well,
I feel smart.
It's useful to me to go back through it. Well, and it's just, I don't know. It's good to keep having examples of shit where I'll get triggered and start bitching about something, and then you'll keep reading, and then it's like, oh, I should have just kept that to myself because he just addressed it in the next line.
You know, I think that's my biggest theme in this, actually. But he keeps doing that to us.
It says something where like, oh, motherfucker, and throw a fit, and we read the next paragraph. Like, you should just shut up.
Yeah.
Well,
okay, everybody.
Thank you very much.
It's so fun to be back. If you have questions, ask them. We'll try to address them. And just for fun, I guess the next chapter will be called Murder Me, where if I'm correct, and I'm almost sure I am, we get to meet Julie. Have a great day, everybody.
Peace.